With your KLEK 1 to 2.5 forecast, just a slight chance of a shower thunderstorm today, a 20-30% coverage, partly sunny in the mid-80s. Mostly cloudy tonight, maybe a shower near 70. A 20-30% chance of a shower thunderstorm Saturday, partly sunny skies, 85 to 90, and it'll be around 90 with sunshine for Sunday. Jonesboro's community radio station, we're KLEK 1 to 2.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Russia's leading opposition figure Alexei Navalny has been poisoned with a toxin so dangerous everyone near him must wear protective gear, according to his team. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya says her supporters in Belarus should step up strike action. Both sides say little progress has been made in the latest round of Brexit talks, and with more than 4,700 cases in the last 24 hours, France has suffered one of its highest days of coronavirus cases.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Friday. It's August 21st, 2020. This is Community Conversations. Kate Wonder is in the studio with you. I have Kabila Jones, host of Community Conversations, on the phone with us. And joining us in the studio today is Harold Copenhaver, and he is a candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. And of course, as always, KLEK and the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, we do not endorse, support, or oppose any candidate for office. These interviews are provided for informational purposes only, but as always, we definitely do encourage you to exercise your right to vote. Election day is November 3rd. And of course, you can request your absentee ballot right now. So go ahead and do that and turn it in as soon as you possibly can. You've seen in the news about the delays with the post office. So go ahead and mail it back, or if you can, just drop it back off at the county clerk's office to make sure that your vote is counted on election day. So with that, we're going to go get started. So as always, we'll start off by asking the candidate to introduce himself and talk a little bit about his background.
Well, good morning, Leganzi. I appreciate you being here. Once again, we return. We were here 4 years ago, I believe.
Yes, we were.
I'm really excited about the opportunity ahead of me. And my name's Harold Copenhaver. I'm running for mayor of Jonesboro. I've been in this community since 1970. My father was Dean of Fine Arts at Arkansas State University. I was born at the Air Force Academy, but my father served the Air Force. He was a captain for 24 years. I've been very blessed to have been a part of this community from public schools, Jonesboro High School, Arkansas State University. And in that time, I met my wife. She's here with me this morning.
She will not be answering questions. So sorry, no questions for Mrs. Copenhaver.
But I think that's relative. I think the people of the city of Jonesboro need to know my family. They need to know the commitment that it takes when you are mayor. The commitment is more so from the family end. And I have 3 lovely children. They are grown. I have now 3 grandchildren as well. So I'm looking forward to the future of this community. I've been embracing this community all my life. I've always been involved in it. Again, I was led to the legislature years ago, and with that opportunity, I began to learn the commitment that it takes. And I also know that people always make mistakes along the line in their life, but I feel like I've learned from those, and we continue to move forward. And again, I'm here with a wonderful opportunity, and the support of my family means everything to me. So now I'm asking for the support of the community as we move forward.
All right, so you mentioned that you were a state representative, and I believe you were a Democrat, right?
At that time, yes, sir.
Okay, but you were down independent?
Yes.
Okay, so what were some of the lessons that you took from your time in the legislature that you feel that you can apply to the mayor's office if you are elected?
Well, that's a good question, and really, to be honest with you, the path, God's laid the path, and He has given me the time, the tools and also the ability to learn what it was like. So when I was in the legislature, obviously all of our state representatives served 30,000 people. And in doing so, you have a commitment to your community, and that was the first thing that I learned. Number one, that was an honor. Number two, it provided me the opportunity then to work with my local officials. And I'll go from our sheriff, Marty Boyd. He and I worked together to sustain some programs and new bills for our local community and for the sheriff's department statewide. Then I also worked with Harold Perrin. It allowed me the ability, Harold Perrin, obviously the park south of town, we both worked together on that one. And then also I was very proud of us coming together on public safety. We were able to come together and was able to find additional funding for Harold and the fire department for immediate response. And what this is a actual meter on top of, I think we have 85 stoplights in Jonesboro, somewhere around that number. But right now, on 22 of them, we have a quick response button, which means the fire department, the light will turn green for them when they go through that. So again, it's a public safety issue, it's an ISO issue, and it allows quick response time to save a life. And so we were able to do that, and I would like to continue to build on that as we go forward, allowing the police department to have accessibility to that, and obviously then our rescue as well. We could further that. But the state legislature, it's an honor to serve. The big plus is I still have those friends. I still have those colleagues, many of which are still in office. I'm able to have that communication door open for the city of Jonesboro. As a matter of fact, week before last, when I was in the throes of making this decision, I picked up the phone and called Representative George Gill, who is now the mayor of Fort Smith. And we discussed many issues that he faced as a new mayor and how he transpired to get into that role. And again, that is where the stability to move the community forward is not going to be amiss. The contacts are still there. Department of Ed, Department of our AG's office, Lieutenant Governor, the Governor's office. Those connections are still there. So again, I want to make the people of Jonesboro to feel comfortable with the transition because there will be a new mayor. And we're going through very difficult times coming forward, and we need that ability.
And speaking of a new mayor, this was a question that we asked one of the previous candidates. If you are elected mayor, do you foresee any changes in department heads, like the police department, fire department, or any kind of reshuffling of personnel, or are you going to just kind of take a wait-and-see approach?
Well, I think more of the wait-and-see approach. Matter of fact, even though I've only been in this for 2.5 weeks, I've been in this community 50 years. I know most of the heads. I've seen them work over the years. They're dedicated to their job. I think the intelligent thing to do is to work with them. They're here for the people of Jonesboro. They're going to be here for whomever the mayor is. They're going to be there to support me. My job will be to work with them to see what we can do to improve what we have, present that to whether it's a city council or whether it's the people of Jonesboro. And more importantly, when it comes to the employees, my background in insurance, and I was on the Insurance and Commerce Commission as well in the legislature. I want to take care of our employees when it comes to their retirement plan, and also look for the best options we have for health care. You're talking 600 employees, Legacy. So this is a big job. It takes experience. And again, with that history, I'm really looking forward to that. And I think the employees, I've visited with department heads, not all of them yet. I've only had 2.5 weeks. But I've sat down with key people, and and then I have visited with gentlemen that are just on the road. I pull over and introduce myself and tell them who I am, and I'm running for mayor, and I'd appreciate their support and vote. I want them to know that that I am a person just like them, and I want them to go home at night to their family, not think about work, come back to work the next day and enjoy the job they're doing. I'm very pleased with the work that our police chief, with what he has done. He has a very difficult job. In our conversation, I think he told me that they have only been, in his entire 6 years, 6 weeks out of his 6 years have they been fully staffed.
Yeah, they've told us that. He's told us that as well. So hopefully it can stay that way. We're speaking with Harold Copenhaver, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. Let's go ahead and get to some Facebook shouts, and I'm going to let Kabila ask a question or two. Shout out to Teresa Morgan, Megan Mitchell Brown, Scott Wilhite. Let me go back. Roy Gant, and I think we may have a couple others on the comments. And let's see. Oh, that's it. So let's go ahead and see, Kabila, that you have a question.
Yes, the question I have tie into the statements Mr. Copenhaver just made. So, and this is a two-part question. One is, what was your stance on the sales tax increase that was proposed by King Jonesboro last year? And two is, going forward, if you are elected mayor, what projects would you try to implement to increase the quality of life of all the citizens of Jonesboro?
Those are great questions, and Quibela, as a private citizen, I certainly have specific personal things that I'd like to see done for our city, but I felt like I have to put personal preferences aside in order to do what's best for the public. And, you know, I sat back and I watched both sides of this. This is the key to my election, I feel, is that I have the ability to move that needle. And I'm already in discussion with individuals that play key roles on both sides of the issue. And you know, the uniqueness of this is that we're already building bridges. I'm already starting that process. We're going to be able to move the needle, and I have faith in that in this community. And as far as you know, looking forward to what we can do on the second part of the question, again, with contractors, I visited with many contractors. You know, they're willing to, with their own money, to provide sidewalks, some of which I want to include bicycle trails as well. So I know this was an issue with many, but if we can move all that closer together without having to pay for that with city revenue, and they're willing to do that, again, that's a partnership that is already at the table and in the works. You know, green space is a big opportunity. We want public safety as well, Cabela. You know, I'm visited with CRDC, Tony at CRDC, and there's many opportunities and grants that are available. And the thing that I think is important for a mayor of Jonesboro is when you start a project, you finish the project. And I'm excited about the opportunities, but more importantly, I'm excited about the PPPs, which I call public-private partnerships, that are available.
So it's safe to say you voted for the proposal.
That was just one of those issues. I was on both sides of that.
Okay. All right. Kabila, do you have a follow-up on that? Because if not, we got some questions from the live feed.
Well, no, the follow-up would be something more specific for whoever is actually mayor and the city council. I'll save those discussions for later.
Okay. Basically, okay, John Williams says, Harold, how will your banking experience as business development director transfer to building our city going forward?
Another good question. Again, I feel like I've been prepared for this role. I told Mayor Perrin that actually nobody can know what it's like until you sit in that seat. But as business development officer, that has provided me the opportunity to sell our city. I sell our city to individuals, to businesses, and to industry as well. When I was in the legislature, the people in Little Rock, whether they were association members, whether they were lobbyists, whether they were other representatives, they knew where I was from. They knew I loved my community, Jonesboro. So business development, again, part of the mayor's job, I believe I've heard people say it's not the mayor's job to be involved with business development, but I feel it is, because in 1980, we did a study, and the study said that the city of Jonesboro, for industry, needed to provide a food or cereal-based industry. The leaders of our community went out and physically brought those individuals back here to Jonesboro, and they're here today, like Post and other industries as well. We need to redo that. We need to get together with our JEDC, our Jonesboro Unlimited, our Chamber of Commerce, Arkansas State University, one of the biggest economic drivers we have, both hospitals, and they're pillars in our community. And not only that, is to include the teamwork and power of our county officials as well. So Marvin Day, Marty Boyd, and all the other officials, we're already working together as a team.
All right, we got two more questions from our live feed that just came in. Eric Morgan says, I have a question for Mr. Copenhaver. In 2014, you referred to your opponent and the Tea Party as extremists. Do you still hold this view? The second one comes from Emma Agnew. How will you ensure that minorities and those in the margins of society get a seat at the table and included in the process?
Well, let's just say on the first question, those are always, if that's true, I don't remember that comment, but whether it was or not, we've moved on, and that was in the throes of early legislation. And Branch Smith and I, Representative Smith and I, have been in the throes together. We know what it's like. We're going to work together. Matter of fact, I was texting him this morning, as a matter of fact, when we spoke. So we've moved on, and that's what it takes. I'm very pleased with our representation of representatives and senators we have. The key element to working with legislators, I know what it's like. They're going to support the city, and I'm going to support them in their efforts for us in the state capitol. The other thing is, I have visited with a current representative that will be our new senator, and he and I discussed honesty and integrity, and that's what he and I believe in. Sometimes we might disagree, but when it comes down to everything, it's about honesty, integrity.
And
we
the second question?
That. And what was the second
question? Second question was, once again, from Emma Agnew. How will you ensure that minorities and those in the margins of society get a seat at the table and are included in the process?
Oh, excellent question, Emma.
And also, I want to add my own follow-up to that. Because if you are mayor, you will deal with the city council. As we know, the Martin Luther King thing, it was a lot of resistance to that. So, online with what Ms. Agnew said, did you support MLK? And as mayor, would you support things that would also help to benefit not only just the minority community, but even like the parts of the city that aren't as well represented, like the north side?
I totally understand. And, to answer your question, Black Lives Matter? Absolutely, they matter. I want to bring the entire city together and for a common goal and progress. And the only way we can do that is include all facets of our community. I think it's important that we see additions to, I'll say, North Jonesboro, but North Jonesboro is expanded. It can be an economic revenue stream for our community, but we have to include that. Emma, I think that, with JEDC, there are grants that are available that we can work with the city and other areas as well. I drove in North Jonesboro day before yesterday. There are certain streets you can't get but one car down. You can't get two cars down on either side.
So would you work to expand those?
Absolutely. The partnerships are there, and again, that's where the PPPs are so important moving forward.
All right, Shaquetta Cunningham says, are you committed to hiring women and minorities in department head positions if those positions become open?
Everybody's going to have the same opportunity. Absolutely.
All right, and shout out to my friend David Perry checking in from Florida. Quabila?
Well, yes. Okay, so
by the way, we got 2 minutes left in the segment.
Well, I'll just ask the question. We can address it when we come back. Going back to, we talked about, looking out for the people in the community. And as a former Democratic state rep, what is your stance on the mask mandate for the city of Jonesboro? And then 2, you did mention that you support the Black Lives Matter movement. So were you present at any of the peaceful protests? And then what's your stance on increasing relationships between the minorities in our community and the city government, or just period?
Let's have him answer the mask one, and then we'll pick up Black Lives Matter on the other side of the break. So,
okay.
Do you support either a mask mandate or a stronger encouragement of people to wear masks in Jonesboro?
Well, first of all, I'd like to address as a Democrat. That doesn't matter. I'm running as a citizen of Jonesboro. I'm not a party affiliated, and I've taken pride in myself the last 5 years to understand this community more and to be more involved in nonprofit organizations. So as part of a party affiliation, I am not, and I'm here to support the people of the city. As far as the mask mandate, that is, I've followed the governor's guidelines. I would leave that up to the individuals of higher education, but we would have questions. Those doors would be open. I think our community has stepped up to the plate. I think everybody's respectful. That's what I admire about Jonesboro. We work together, and we'll go on to the question after the break.
Okay. Well, you had about 25 seconds.
Okay.
But we are speaking with Harold Copenhaver, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. And, of course, if you have a question for Mr. Copenhaver, you can give us, well, actually, we got Kabila on the phone. But you can go on our Facebook. Just look up KLEK 102.5 FM on Facebook. Click on the video and post your questions, and we will try to get to as many of them as we can. Get ready to go to a break, but back with more. This is Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Is your teen preparing to leave home? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Over the past few years, I've watched all 5 of my kids grow up and head out into the world. Though I can't be with them as they journey into life after high school, I worked hard to prepare them. So, if your teen is about to leave the nest, be sure to share these 10 life skills with them. First, make sure they know some basic cooking skills. They'll be much better off knowing how to prepare a few simple, healthy dishes rather than eating out for every meal. Second, it's important for your child to know how to keep a budget and manage their money. Remember, your family first.
Want to connect with Mark on Twitter? Follow him at twitter.com/Mark Merrill. The Family Minute with Mark Merrill, helping families love well.
Made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. KNOMEGA1908.com.
Brought to you by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, dedicated to the purpose of achievement. Jonesboro Alumni at gmail.com, Jonesboro AR Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity on Facebook, and Jonesboro_Kappas on Instagram.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by...
Several years ago, we had a customer take a calf to the processing plant. The owner of the plant always got up very early. Our customer got a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the owner asked him, "How much of this beef do you want in hamburger?" Lemuel, not an early rider, said, "Eugene, I was laying here just thinking about that." Glenn sang, "God bless our troops."
The summer months are the most dangerous time for youth. More are experimenting with alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs during this time, and there is an increased occurrence of accidents and deaths as a result. Be aware and be safe. This message is brought to you by Crowley's Ridge Development Council.
Hey guys, it's Kaz, the host of New Jack Radio Weekly, and if you love the classic New Jack swing hits of the 80s and 90s, then you're going to want to check this out. So make sure to tune in every Thursday night as I take you back in the day from 6 to 8 for New Jack Radio Weekly with me, Kaz, right here on KLEK 102.5, Jonesboro's community radio station, your life, your music.
KLEK thanks the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
Arkansas Early Learning prepares children up to 5 years old for kindergarten by offering a secure learning environment, qualified teachers at several locations in Northeast Arkansas at no cost. Applications are available at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guest, Harold Copenhaver, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro. Before we went to break, Kabila had a question. Her question was, since you said earlier that you do believe that Black Lives Matter, did you attend any of the Black Lives Matter protests in Jonesboro? And if you are elected mayor, what will you do to address the concerns that were brought up during those protests?
No, I did not attend. I was at work, but I was well aware.
Did you watch on our Facebook Live?
Actually, I think I did, yes.
Well, I know we had 3,100 people watching.
How about that? But I was very proud of how it was the community worked together. And that showed, again, from the police chief and others and the leaders in the Black Lives Matters. They wanted a peaceful demonstration, and that's exactly what the people of Jonesboro were proud of. Supporting it, obviously, I think everybody's entitled. My father was in the military. I believe in that. I wasn't able to serve in the military, but I believe in public service, and this is the way I can give back as your next mayor. It is important to recognize everybody has their freedoms, and going along with that, a peaceful demonstration, whatever the case may be, I think it's important that our cities stay together and we understand each other, and yes, we'll move forward.
All right, let's go to the Facebook Live. We had a bunch of questions just pop up. Jonathan Parks Sr. says, piggyback on Ms. Cunningham, how will you make sure the positions are looked at fairly and not the good old boy system where qualified African-American males have been blackballed from in the past and still today? Will you personally look into complaints and change the ways things are done?
That's a good question, and I think that answer would have to be, once I get in the office, to see how that is. We have to move forward with this community, and the right people have to be there. But I have been very pleased with what I've seen. The individuals have a love for this community, no doubt. They're good employees, but I think we also have to improve where we are on diversity. And absolutely, everybody is going to have an equal and fair opportunity at the table. No question.
All right. Rick Miles asks, what does your first day in office look like, and is there something you drastically want to change?
It's a good question, Mr. Miles. Of course, until you get in that chair, you really don't know what you'd like to change. But the initial is that I would like to put together an economic summit for our community. And what that would be is leaders from all diversifications coming together, and we sit down at the table together and move forward. I want to hear the impulse from the chamber. I want to hear from JU. I want to hear from the county. I want to hear from Arkansas State University. What's important to the students there as well. Want to have representation. Want to have Black Lives Matters, NAACP. These people are going to have the insights that we need to move the community forward.
All right. Krista Glover says, Mr. Copenhaver, what are your plans and ideas for boosting our local economy to ensure we save those locally owned businesses after the COVID crisis and tornado have caused so many to suffer?
I applaud him for asking the question. Stability, stability, stability. Given these uncertain times and conditions that we're going to face, it's critical that who the next mayor is, and I'll get ready the very first day, and I'll work on that from day one. A learning curve is devastating to our local economy, and thus, with experience, it's very important that I feel confident my background has prepared me to help continuing. Our local businesses are key. Some have prevailed, some have not. These are people that I've grown up with. I've seen them personally. We must protect our local economy and move forward. We obviously have a situation with the tornado, and I must commend our relief efforts in the tornado. The community came together, but now we have some buildings that still have not been repaired. We need to work with them to get them back up to speed. And again, that's working with the city to get ordinances fulfilled and streamline the opportunity for people to get back to work quickly.
All right, Quabela?
Yes, I have a series, I guess, of questions / topics. I'll just put them out there and you can address them, each one. The first one being still going in line with economic development and improvement in the community. Let's talk about housing. I do understand we have the HUD office and the public housing, but that's limited to some degree. Not everyone qualifies directly for those services. We know we have developers that come in, and sometimes we've seen the properties they develop, the rent is so high that the individuals in those neighborhoods are forced to move elsewhere and into more subpar housing. So, one, what power does the mayor have to help to ensure that people are not getting pushed out and they're still getting quality housing? So that's one.
Okay.
Two, I'll come back to that. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was a long question, Cabela. When it comes to housing, I think, I believe I looked at the statistics for last year, and we had, out of the growth that we had, 67% was low to moderate income. So we need to continue to work forward with these individuals. Our average hourly pay is around $19 an hour, and it makes it very difficult for people to live. We need to provide, obviously, jobs, opportunities for individuals so they can take pride in their ownership and homes. But Quabela, we do need to take care of the individuals that are here. And we want people to be able to invest in their properties and get a return on those properties as well. So I believe there's an overlay program that was introduced for a certain area of Jonesboro, I think West Jonesboro, looking to help and continue to improve and work with individuals. But then if individuals wanted to purchase a home, that their home would be built to a code, that their return on investment would be good. But the bottom line is we need to take care of all of our citizens. Working with the Delta Regional Authority and the CRDC, East Arkansas Planning District Council, there are many avenues that I plan on working with. I've worked with them in the past as a legislature, and obviously I want to keep our economy and our health care and be transparent as well for these individuals.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have one more question, and I know there's some Facebook comments. In terms of the businesses that do come to Jonesboro, I don't know how much power, again, the mayor has in that respect, but we know that not a lot of businesses come to the north side of town. I've lived here over 20 years, and I would love to see a lot more growth. I know it takes community being involved as well. However, when a new business is proposing to come to our city, will you look at possibly offering them incentives to put their business on a certain side of town, depending on what it is, so that it can increase the growth in those communities?
Well, you've hit on a wonderful subject, Quabela. The main thing is I would like to see the opportunity for business growth. A bank, for example. In order to do that, we need to incentivize them to be in North Jonesboro, but we've got to take care of our infrastructure. We need to make sure our utilities are good. We want to make sure that the individuals are safe. We need to assist on crime. And also, we need to take care of flooding. 4 years ago, when I ran for office for mayor, flooding was an issue. Now that issue has somewhat been addressed. We need better lighting. We need building relationships with law enforcement. I'm very stressed on that. I think that is I've been listening to individuals, and their responses are, boy, we like our SRO officers at school, but when school's out, then they go back and they're on the beat again. We would like them to stay in our community and be out. These kids grow and have relationship with these police officers. Yes, I think there's plenty of opportunity, but then again, Quabella, we've got to work together and finish a plan we start.
All right, get back to our Facebook Live. Shanquetta Cunningham says, do you have a plan of action that will also diversify board and commission appointments beyond bankers and those more affluent? This has been an unfortunate pattern. What are your thoughts?
And I'm assuming she's talking about local boards.
Yes, some of the advisory boards have been created by the mayor's office.
Okay. Yes, I mean, that's when I started, like I said, from day one, have an economic summit. I would have individuals of all diversification at that meeting.
How would you recruit them?
I would ask the leaders in the community in North Jonesboro. Obviously, we have certain segments that they know their community, and I would ask for leaders in each community that they felt comfortable with.
Okay. All right. Eric Morgan says, where do you stand on the highway tax that we will vote on in November?
You know, that's a great question. The highway tax has proven well for Jonesboro, and this is a selling tool that is critical to our community, but it did have a sunset clause. I'm not in favor of always having taxes, that's for sure. I have asked for an economic impact statement to see what type of economic impact this would have on Jonesboro. So working with Alec Farmer, he's going to provide that to me. But again, this is key because your mayor needs to have the ability to call other individuals in the state of Arkansas to really sell what we have in Jonesboro so we can have more economic development here through the highways. That is key. Key roads, good roads, bring economic development to our community.
And speaking of economic development, when you were state representative, were you able to lure any industries to Jonesboro? I know you had mentioned something about the post. I don't know if that was in relation to your time as a state rep or something else.
That was actually early on, but in the process, I learned the process. I learned how to do that. And that is, I worked with the governor. We were always made aware. With Arkansas State, for example, we completed the funding for the new facility that's, I think it's the Liberal Arts Building. We committed an additional $10 million so we can complete that for Arkansas State University because that's an economic driving hub in our community. So again, knowing how to get that done for our community is the key role. I've been there. I'm the only one in the race that has the experience when it comes to that.
Quabella?
Yes. Okay. I was thinking about, this is a little different direction, but still discussing the quality of life for the residents of this community. Looking at the homeless population, and you mentioned earlier about there are buildings and you have been in talks and discussions with CRDC and other organizations. What can we do or what can be done or what plan would you like to see put in place concerning the homeless population? I know we have the shelter, but there are other facilities that could be utilized and, you know, I don't want to say upgraded, but repurposed, I'll put it like that, for homeless shelters.
Well, Quabella, when I was in the legislature, it opened my eyes to a lot of things in this community that, to be quite honest with you, I hadn't seen before. I was not aware that high school students were homeless. You know, it not only affects adults, but it affects younger individuals as well. It's near and dear to my heart, and I visited with Tony Thomas. We talked about this. There are opportunities, and there are already talks going on for a homeless shelter. The thing is that we have...
I don't want to interrupt you, but
sure.
Since you said there are talks on the homeless shelter, I do need to ask this. what can be done to ensure that it actually happens? Because, there was land there was a building that was donated, and there was so much resistance that they backed out. So how would they overcome that resistance this go around?
And again, I think that is where my leadership ability can come into play. We've got to get the people at the table. Again, it's where is that facility going to be? I think we have other issues that face the homeless. Sometimes we have personal issues or addiction issues. So does that facility need to be closer to another area, or whatever the case may be? This is a growing concern. We will be addressing that. But there are a lot of underlying issues that we need to address as well. But the only way, Quabella, that we're going to be able to make that work is come together. Social programs. I've involved myself the last 6 years with nonprofit organizations. From the food bank, I'm still on the board at the food bank of Northeast Arkansas. And then I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish at City Youth with Denise Snyder. And as you know, that's an after-school summer program. They build relationships with these children. I've also, with my employment, we do an after-school program. I call it West School. It's Micro Society School. And we teach them, we educate them on financial needs and literacy. And then the children are provided a meal before they go home. This is key that we continue and build on those programs. I'm very fortunate as well, and my wife is here in support of me today, but I'd be failed to mention that she volunteers and has volunteered for the last 14 years at Options on Main. And this is something that's near and dear to her heart. We support it financially, and we will continue to do so. But I'm very proud of her, and so we're focused on the community. And again, we've got to build the social programs, summer programs, and build relationships.
Speaking with Harold Copenhaver, candidate for mayor of Jonesboro, you can continue to post your questions and comments for him on our Facebook Live feed. I wanted to kind of pivot just a little bit. One of the things that has come up before the city council is the proposal to go to ward-based voting. Are you in favor or against that?
I'm neither at this point because I want to see more information. I'm not an individual, like I said, that jumps quick, makes a decision quick. Again, that is the city council's decision to make that recommendation. I have not seen the full. I know L.J. Bryant, that has been postponed to the beginning of the year, I believe. I know that I think it will get worked out because having a voice in the wards is important. And whether the city votes on one individual or all 12, that is a decision and recommendation the city council needs to make, and if I need to make an observance, then I will from there. But right now, I'm just not informed enough on it.
All right, Krista Glover says, what are your thoughts on conducting council and committee meetings during business hours, which prevent most citizens from attending to speak their questions, comments, and concerns?
And that's a great point because that comes to transparency. Again, I know it's probably not customary for these meetings to occur in the evening. Then again, you want to be home with your family and et cetera. But we will look into that. That is a great question. I haven't been proposed that before, but again, I'm all about transparency. Harold Perrin has done a wonderful job with transparency, but what I see is people still are confused on how to find things, where they are, and we need to rectify that, and we will.
All right. Got 2 minutes left. Could be that you have a question you want to get in before we go to break?
No, I'm gonna let y'all.
Or you gonna leave me hanging here in the studio?
No.
Oh, it's all good. Well, let's take a lighthearted question. So let's talk about how the campaign's going. I know you say you've only been in this race 2 weeks, but what have you observed during the 2 weeks you've been on the campaign trail?
Laganze, 4 years ago, it was a different situation altogether. And first of all, I never thought I would be back in this situation, but the Lord has opened the path for us. And without my family support, they were the ones that actually came to me. They were hearing it in the community. And once Judge Day was no longer in the race, I was supportive of Judge Day. Then we took the opportunity. And again, I have been truly blessed and humbled by what I'm drinking from a water fountain. It has been a wonderful situation. I'm visiting with people with open minds. We're building bridges that, to be quite honest with you, I'm really thrilled about, because I know we can work together and move the needle. It's not going to be fast, but if we move the needle, we're going to become that community that everybody wants to live in.
All right. And we've got about a couple more seconds left, so we're going to go ahead and with that go into our next break. But don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap up with Harold Copenhaver, candidate for the mayor of City of Jonesboro. Don't go anywhere. This is a community conversation on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. The worst time to make financial decisions is while you're dealing with the passing of a loved one. With so many decisions to be made, consider the following when planning a funeral. Know the funeral preferences of your loved ones, and make sure that those responsible for your burial are aware of yours. Put them in writing and give copies to family members, and keep a copy in a location others are aware of. Comparison shopping may sound crass, but what other $10,000 expense or more would a person make without comparing costs and features? Check the prices for the same services at least 3 local funeral homes. Apply the same smart shopping techniques that would be used for other major purchases. Avoid emotional overspending. Remember to resist any pressure to buy goods and services that you can't truly afford, meaning you don't need a credit card to pay for it. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Guide Right Jonesboro Kappa League, a nonprofit organization that guides young men to a life of achievement. Kappa League Jonesboro on Facebook, Jonesboro_Kappa League on Instagram, and Jonesboro Kappa League at gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
KLEK thanks R. Scott Trout and the Trout Law Firm, 247 South Main Street in Jonesboro, for believing in our mission to educate, entertain, and empower the community with a motto of aggressive representation and quality customer service. Areas of practice include criminal law, divorce, custody, child support, real estate, wills, power of attorney, estate planning, and general practice. Details 870-933-7100 or troutlawfirm.com. KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month. Shout out to Angie's Professional Cleaning, offering commercial and residential cleaning services in Jonesboro and the surrounding areas. Licensed and bonded. 870-271-9708.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversation on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guest, Harold Copenhaver, candidate for mayor of the city of Jonesboro. So, this is our last segment, so is there anything else that you just want to talk about or touch on, or that we may not have covered?
Well, I appreciate you asking me that question, and I think that it's important here that I want the residents of Jonesboro, and I'm a resident of Jonesboro, but I'm also a resident of Craighead County in northeast Arkansas. Working together, we can achieve the goals as a community and support each other. and myself being able to work with state, county, and local officials and local governments, municipal leagues, Department of Higher Education. These are personal contacts that we've already got in place, and we can continue. I believe that investing in our infrastructure is a priority. Our medical community is a pillar of Jonesboro's economy, as well as Arkansas State University. Investing in our university students. That is, 4 years ago when I ran, I wanted to incorporate the youth in our leadership at the city of Jonesboro and partner with Arkansas State University from accounting to engineering. Get these students involved in our community. We get them involved in our community, they will stay in our community, but then we can listen to them and their needs, and then they'll be prepared for the next generation. I'm in this election because we can't gamble with the lives of our children or our grandchildren. I'm going to take every effort to encourage education, and number one criteria is I want to offer stability as we move forward through this unknown economic time that's facing us. The key here, Legansy, the last 2.5 weeks, and really the last 6 years, I've been listening. I've been listening to our community. My door is open. We're going to be transparent. I want to have neighborhood meetings. I need to hear their concerns, and we need to make improvements in our infrastructure.
And if you are elected mayor, will you agree to come on KLEK once a month to talk about what's going on with the city of Jonesboro?
We can most definitely do that.
All right, here's a little bit more lighthearted question from our Facebook Live feed. Paula McGowan Miles said, I may have missed this, and forgive me if I did, but will you discuss your family, especially Kathleen, your sweet kids, parents, in-laws, and the fact that all live in Jonesboro?
Well, Paula, thank you for asking that question, and to go without saying, that's the reason my wife is here this morning. She is my support. She is my rock, but she is the one that sacrifices. And I have 3 wonderful children. They've all attended Jonesboro High School and Arkansas State University. My oldest is an educator in Jonesboro Public Schools. My middle son my middle child actually, is his name is Austin Copenhaver, and he works at Jonesboro Public Schools. And I really enjoy what Austin does. He helps facilitate children where they're going to college. What's their next step after high school, whether it be a 2-year school, a 4-year school, or just getting a job, and that's his role. And then my youngest son is a senior at Arkansas State University. So my in-laws have been farmers. They've lived here all their life. My wife was born and raised here. And so we are committed to this community as a family, and that's the reason I'm running. You will see in my campaign, my family. They're the ones making the sacrifice.
All right, so there you have it from the man himself. And of course, I would agree that family is definitely important. Kabila, did you have anything?
Yes. I know it's hard to make an actual plan when you're not actually in the position, but on a personal level, are you making a proposed plan, say 3, 6, 9, 12 months out of things you would like to do or see accomplished if you are elected?
Yes, Cabela. That plan, we're already starting to work on that. And the first day that I would take office, hopefully, we will announce a 100-day plan. And moving forward, again, with this economic environment that we're in, we truly don't know where we're going to be. My concern is I want to take care of our city, our employees. They come first. They are family. The employees of this city are family, and I want them taken care of.
Alrighty. Let's go back to the Facebook Live, see if we have any additional comments or questions. We do not. Alright, so let's get back to some of the other issues that are facing the city of Jonesboro. There are a lot of people who are concerned about crime in Jonesboro. So if you are elected mayor, what would you do about crime in Jonesboro?
The support of our police force is top priority. Not only I think that our community, our economic development will improve, our North Jonesboro, the communications, building relationships with our law enforcement. But number one is providing them with the assets of what law enforcement need. There are many things, I've already visited with the police chief, that we can do to move forward. He's limited. We all know that. Of course, we want to improve and hopefully be able to assist in maintaining police officers. I believe he loses almost 50% of his staff in the first 5 years. That's very difficult. But one thing I hear from police officers is that they love our community, and it's when our community reaches out to them, that's why they love the job that they're doing and they're committed. It's not the money, obviously. So again, their employees, our police chief, he has the 911 center under him as well. And I was on the E911 task force. Jeff does an excellent job. We're improving that. Again, we're looking for ways to streamline, which will make our services easier for small businesses, individuals to build in this community, industries working with City Water and Light. What a wonderful asset we have in City Water and Light. But then City Water and Light will be facing their own issues in the future as they get away from coal. So again, as a community, my job as mayor will be to pull things together, keep it together, and we move forward down the track that we're on. And as we deem necessary, then we will advance that track and speed it up.
All right, and following up on that quickly from Henry Burrell, he says, are there plans for training of police officers around dealing with minority community? And Shanquetta Cunningham said we support strict enforcement of crosswalk safety.
Crosswalk safety, that's a good question.
And we got about 2 minutes for the end of the show. So.
We need more crosswalks. Number one, I had a picture last week. I forgot what was the gentleman's question. Was it minority?
Yes, let me go back to it. It says, are there plans for training of police officers around dealing with the minority community?
You know, I think the opportunity, if we would have applicants for police officers, I know that police chief is very welcoming, obviously, for that. We need the diversification. We need that. I need representation in our community that they'll be proud of, and yes, we'll move forward with that.
All right, so we got about 1 minute, 45 seconds left, so make your case for why the citizens of Jonesboro should elect you the next mayor of Jonesboro.
Selling Jonesboro is critical to our economic development. You need a mayor that has stability, that has experience, that will have targeted development, targeted infrastructure, and can face obstacles and move through those obstacles by knowing the people of the city, by knowing the people of the state, and other areas of our nation to move through. We'll need to take care of our youth, our homeless, crime reform, and how we move forward with racial injustices. I will be fair, and my door will be open. Economic development is key, and we have many roles, but number one, I want the people of this community to know they can trust their mayor. I will be there for them, so will our employees, and we will have an open door, and we will be transparent. I would like to say, let's keep in prayers Mayor Harold Perrin as he goes through his journey, and he is still mayor, obviously, for the next 4 to 5 months. And I'm proud to call him my friend.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us today in the studio. Of course, Kayla King, the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. We do not endorse or support any candidate for office. This interview is provided for informational purposes only, but please exercise your right to vote. Election day is November 3rd. Go ahead and request your absentee ballot now if you're concerned about COVID, and vote, vote, vote. You guys have a blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Broadcasting from the First National Bank Tower, this is KLEKLP